Good morning, everybody. My name is Nixon, and today Nathanael and I would like to talk about social media's influence on consumer decision-making from the likes to buys. And so the prevalence of social media is what poses this topic so significant, because the unsatisfiable hunger within us is what lures us into using social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, and so forth. And so today, the speech encompasses a wide range of topics, including the psychological impact to the ubiquity of social media, which Nathanael will be explaining now.
For some context, I would like to start with the fact of social media's prevalence in our daily lives. We can see that a staggering 62.6% of the global population now has a social media identity, which are all registered social media usernames and accounts. With the ever-growing growth of social media, as presented by the graph, social media proves to firms, companies, and to individuals why they should leverage social media as a way to influence consumer behavior. So, in what way does social media influence consumer behavior?
That is a good question, Nathanael. And that brings us to our next topic, which is the convenience of social media. And so, an example of a way that firms attract customers is by using SEO, which is known as the search engine optimization device. And what it essentially does is highlight keywords and hashtags that you enter in your search engine and projects targeted content. And what it does is improve customer retention, as it allows and ensures that users will see what they want to see, making them spend longer hours, which overall just increases the chances of them actually buying something out of it. And another way that convenience is implemented to influence our behavior is by allowing users to buy from social media platforms themselves, such as TikTok Shop. And this makes it infinitely easier for a seamless purchase experience, which allows people to have a more quick and efficient time spent on social media platforms themselves. And it also improves product discovery for firms because it allows them to display their various products on different social media platforms, which overall just increases the chances of users actually finding them.
Delving deeper into the idea of search engine optimization comes the term personalization. So, how has personalization influenced consumer behavior? I'll start off with a simple example where in 2006, Facebook introduced their newsfeed algorithm, which personalized user content. This personalization showed a list of status updates and activity updates from your fellow friends or individuals, such as so-and-so has updated their profile picture and so-and-so has changed their username. This was the most basic way of personalizing the app's interface to make it more interactive for the consumer. Personalization has then further developed into the idea of ranking algorithms, where social media apps would score posts and ads based on a user's time spent or the interaction with the post. This helps to show on the top of an individual's feed the most relevant content. I'm sure this applies to most of you, where you see the things that you're most interested in coming out at the top of your page. And so
fast forward to a couple of years, where is the advent of advanced data analytics, as well as the heavy incorporation of machine learning and AI, which allows firms to enable real-time data processing, as well as predictive analytics, which creates a more dynamic and a highly personalized user experience. So an example of a social media platform that does this is TikTok, where it uses its machine learning algorithms to process vast amounts of data, including what you watch, the videos that you like, or the time that you spend watching the videos. And the algorithm uses this data to personalize your profile.
And with further improvements of what Nixon said, AI and machine learning, comes the idea of personalization evolving into hyper-personalization. Hyper-personalization provides a 360-degree view of a consumer's interest by integrating data with even advanced machine learning models to help to not only predict content that's relevant, but anticipates a user's future events. As such, this is an example of Facebook's patent called predicting life changes, in which using hyper-personalization helps to predict future events in a user's life, such as marriage, the birth of a new child, graduation, and even shockingly, death. With this hyper-personalization helps social media apps to provide or to suggest content, advertisements that are related to an upcoming event that they have predicted. Moving on from this idea of personalization comes the idea of targeted advertising. So, through the data used for personalization is also the same data used for targeted advertising. I'm sure most of you have searched up a product, and for some magical reason, it shows up in your feed 24/7 everywhere. It is as if the companies are stalking you, are watching you. It is as if social media is constantly spying on you. Well, in truth, they do. Let me explain. As most of you would have guessed, the common way social media influences consumer behavior is through targeted advertising, where companies, individuals, and firms can pay social media apps to advertise their products, such as this, paid advertisements on the page. Through targeted advertising and personalization, by sending out the right message at the right time to the right individuals, to individuals who care about the product, helps to increase the likelihood of engagement with the product, with the service, or with the post as a whole. Consumers are more likely to purchase a good or to interact with a post that are highly recommended and are highly relevant to their lives and their interests.
But targeted advertising is just one aspect of it, right? Which brings us to the next topic, which is influencer marketing, whereby an influencer uses social media as a medium to promote their brands and products. So, and for as an example, does anybody know who this is? Yes, this is Daniel Craig, also known as James Bond. But do you ever wonder why James Bond, the ultimate secret agent, always knows the time? Could it be that he is sporting an Omega watch? Well, realistically, no. But that is what firms actually want you to feel. Because they are trying to use their products and incorporate it into their lifestyle or making it a part of their identity. And as humans and consumers, we follow a very common way of life, which is monkey see, monkey do, right? And influencers like Daniel Craig creates trends which we monkeys see and follow, which creates and enhances consumer engagement, as well as content authenticity, as well as credibility, which I'll explain more later. And so looking at this from a wider perspective, this is a graph that represents the global market size for influencers. And it just shows a general increase. However, I want you guys to pay attention from 2019 to 2023. Because I think as all of you may have experienced, 2019 was an impactful year where the pandemic hit us like a truck. And students like us and working adults like you guys are all affected by this, and we have to incorporate internet and social media into our routinely activities. And we see this stark increase, which shows the profound impact it actually has on consumer behavior. And so this effect is more commonly known as the halo effect, whereby influencers leverage their credibility, which leads to trusted opinions into others. And so a personal example that I would like to give is an influencer like my dad. So influencers don't necessarily have to be celebrities or high public figures, but when I was 9 years old, my dad told me that there was a universal, singular medication that would cure any sickness, ranging from muscle pain to stomach pain to fever, and the list just goes on. And what is this called? Tiger Balm. The oil that you rub on your stomach to make it feel hot. And I think you guys are wondering, this is such an absurd idea. And that's actually how I want you guys to feel. Because influencers like my dad accentuates the desire to conform to societal norms, to feel as if you're part of a community and reassured that you're doing the right thing, when in actuality, No. And this is what firms actually use to attract customers, because they try to tap deeply into the social and psychological understandings of our brain, which makes influencer marketing the most potent tool for shaping consumer behavior.
So, building on to what Nixon said, how does social media psychologically influence consumer behavior? I'll present this with a simple story. Let's start off with, imagine a basic social media user scrolling where they see a targeted ad or influencer on their screen. So what goes on in this user's brain when they see this ad? What goes on in their mind? We present our characters that take control of this consumer's mind with dopey, a representation of dopamine. So what is dopamine? Dopamine is a neurotransmitter in our brain that helps us feel pleasure and reward. So excitement is driven by seeing the influencer or the targeted ad where there's this reward anticipation. We want to have the good. So what works with dopey? You may ask. Another character that influences our decisions would be Freddy, or symbolizing the fear of missing out. So the fear of missing out is driven by our anxiety of not being connected, or not staying in the loop of things, or missing out on information. Freddy, on the other here, wants to stay connected and wants to be part of everyone. He wants to be part of an exclusive community. So this is them in the consumer's brain, taking control, and ultimately will decide his decision. So what does dopey do? Dopey says, I want this now. I want this good looks interesting. Now, it makes dopey act impulsively, therefore affecting the consumer. The consumer acts impulsively due to the excitement released from a potentially rewarding experience, such as purchasing the good. And Freddy, on the other hand, is anxious. He's anxious that if he misses out on the good or the product, he may feel left out. The consumer may feel left out and not part of a group that owns this product. It's what others influence us to buy. Now, it comes to the time of decision making. So, these are the ways that Dopey and Freddy influence our behavior. And with excitement of buying the good and the anxiety of not owning the good, it helps the consumer to make a decision, which is to buy the product. Simple. This is the reason why social media ads or social media influencers influence our brains psychologically to buy the product. In the end, Dopey is happy that he feels a sense of accomplishment with having the product, and Freddy, on the other hand, does not need to worry, as Freddy has the product.
And so, what now, right? You guys understand that social media has its own techniques to influence your consumer behavior, and you know that it also uses and takes advantage of psychological triggers, like what Nathanael has mentioned. Well, Nathanael and I's gift to you today is to show you the 6 ways that you can become a savvy consumer whilst gliding through the digital marketplace. And so the first thing is to be aware of the anchoring effect. Don't make hasty decisions when you see the first piece of information that you're given. Or the second thing, where you conduct thorough research. So that means looking at specifications, your accessibility of it, how you want to use it, and so forth. And the third thing is to set a complete and clear budget so you prevent yourself from overspending. The fourth thing is to look at different brands and products to seek alternative reference points. And the fifth thing is to use price comparison tools. So what I normally do is go on various social media platforms in order to find the cheapest alternative. And last but not least is to consider the whole package. So this includes warranty, insurance policy, and customer service. And by incorporating all of this, you are able to, or I believe that you are able to guide yourself through the digital marketplace wisely and also make more smarter and conscious decisions. And that brings us to the end of the speech. And to summarize everything in a nutshell, we know that social media, surprisingly, has an impact on consumer behavior. And firms actually employ techniques such as targeted advertising, influencer marketing, as well as personalization. And they use sophisticated algorithms, such as machine learning AIs, in order to trigger psychological triggers like what Nathanael has mentioned, such as the fear of missing out, and also the dopamine effect. And as a savvy consumer, we would have to stay informed about the current evolving trends, set clear budgets, and also conduct thorough research. And by doing all this, we avoid the pitfalls of impulsive purchasing, as well as making smart decisions on what you need and not what you want.
Looking ahead, social media will constantly be dominated by ever-emerging technologies. These include like the metaverse, new AIs, or even new learning models, which help to create more immersive and personalized experiences for consumers. And as the notion of today's event, to infinity and beyond, social media's growth is endless. The sky's the limit. And therefore, so will its effect on our behavior. Thank you.
Thank you.